bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Well. How you doing? How you doing? Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, today is Monday, December 26th. 361 days into the new year, just 5 days left. Wow. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planets. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? Hope you had a great Christmas weekend. We want to thank everyone for their well wishes, their cards, and, well, you know, the gifts that we received. Thank you all so much. Very cool. With that, on this very special broadcast and heading in to New Year's weekend, tonight we welcome back Damon T. Barry. He's here. No joke. He's here to talk about his latest production, The Black Knight Satellite, Invitation number 6. Tomorrow night, Jason Quitt is here. Wednesday night, Laurie McDonald and the Mandela Effect. Thursday night is another Fader night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom live. Then followed by open lines all night long. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. You can follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Simple enough, at JChurchRadio. Facebook, YouTube, everything is Fade to Black. Jimmy Church Radio, you know what to do. Go follow, like, and subscribe. All those funny little buttons are over on our website. You can email throughout the show, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. The sandbox is hashtag F2B on Twitter. There you go. It's that simple. Any questions or comments during the show tonight? Just use hashtag F2BQ, Fade to Black questions, F2BQ. All right. Happy holidays, man. I hope you guys had a great Christmas weekend. I posted over on Facebook. I just had to do it because my family, Rita and Deanna and stuff, just surprised the crap out of me and got me a watch. And you know what? It was one of those things. I know it was kind of vain. I get it, but I was just floored by the gift, and I posted that over on Facebook if you want to check it out. But the point is, sometimes you just feel loved, and that it just, and the thing is, when I opened it, they knew that I didn't know, right? They knew this. They knew that I didn't know. And I was just floored, and very cool watch. And it's one of those things, Rita listens. She listens. She really does. And just one day, it was a couple of months ago, she, just walks in and catches me looking at watches online. I'm like, look at this. Look at this. Look how cool this is. And then, boom, couple of months later, shows up under the Christmas tree. And it was just something that I had forgotten about, but she didn't. So thank you, honey, so much for that. And Deanna, very thoughtful gift. All right. Okay. Happy holidays. Rita, Diana, and stuff. Thanks. Rita's going to go quit reading my text online. But man, it was just, I'm still floored by it. I just can't stop looking at that watch. So there you go. Oh, look at Mark Tarana. Okay, yeah, that's it. I'll go ahead and retweet that so everybody knows what the heck I'm talking about. But there it is. Yes. Okay. All right. Go visit all of our sponsors. It's how we do this show. Never forget that. That's how this show happens every single night. This is our fourth year now. Visit our sponsors, Life Change Tea. Not 10 minutes ago, I did my drops. I did my moringa, my olive leaf, and my vitamin C right before the show. And I can feel it now. It's kind of weird. I can kind of feel it tingling. Go to getthetea.com. Click on the banner, promo code Jimmy. Go to the specials page. Also, River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Just click on their banner over at Jimmy Church Radio. One of the great gifts that you can do for yourself and others. F2B blend is the promo code. We'll get you 15% off of your order. Also, Studio Dome and their Fade or Not special. A stereo wireless Bluetooth stereo system. 2 USB B2 speakers in a hard shell case. Use the promo code JCRTWS for 60% off of the normal price of $399. You get it all in $129 with free shipping. Also, Zipa. Stop snoring today. I did, and I am. Click on the banner over at Jimmy Church Radio, ZYPPAH.com. This thing is comfortable, too. It really, really works. Go and get yours now, Zipa.com. And the first big conference of the season is coming up. Yep, February 10th through the 13th at the LAX Hilton, right here in Los Angeles, California. We'll be broadcasting Fade to Black from the Plaza Ballroom on Friday night, and then I'll be hosting the Ancient Aliens panel on Saturday morning. Just click on the banner over at jimmychurchradio.com for tickets and info. David Wilcock, Corey Good, Richard Dolan, Linda Moulton Howe, David Hatcher-Childress, George Norrie, Mike Barra, Nassim Haramain, Lori McDonald, Jason Martell, Sean Stone, William Henry, Daniel Sheehan, Whitley Strieber, Daniel Brinkley, Laura Eisenhower, Del Bigtree, Lisa Garr. Tickets and info over at jimmychurchradio.com. Just click on the banner right now. And then, of course, is Contact in the Desert, too, as well. And I think they are ready for us to start talking about that. So we will start doing that next week in the new year. Happy birthday to today, Lars Ulrich. Today is 53. Kit Harington today is 30. In case you don't know, Kit plays Jon Snow in Game of Thrones. When is Game of Thrones even coming back? Oh, man. What, like 2 years from now? And I heard it's even going to be a short, it's not going to be a full 10 or 12 episodes. I heard it's going to be like 6. Man, what a drag. When's Game of Thrones kicking in again? Jared Leto today is 45. Our dead guy's birthday today is, don't have one. Thank goodness. Always bums me out, the dead guy's birthdays. But there's always somebody there, right? Okay. On this day in history, folks, 1966. You ready? Jimi Hendrix writes Purple Haze. That's right. Hendrix moved to England in 1966, teamed up with Noel Redding and drummer Mitch Mitchell to form the Jimi Hendrix Experience. And then right after that, they scored a hit, a pretty big one too, with Hey Joe, which was released in mid-December, right? And then 10 days later, after it was released, however, on December 26th, Hendrix sat down and wrote Purple Haze, the song that proved that he was an alien doing a drive-by. Yeah, on this day in history. Yeah, pretty cool, huh? Fader fact. A $300,000 diamond was lost in a Formula One crash in 2004. This is a fact. The diamond was attached to the Jaguar F1 car of Christian Klein, and they did it to promote the Ocean's 12 movie that had just come out back in 2004. It was on the first lap. Yeah. In the Lowe's corner at Monaco, the Monaco Grand Prix. And the diamond was never recovered. They wouldn't let, there's a lot to the story, but what was funny is the diamond was mounted in this tube in the front of the car. And the accident happened. And they went and they were looking, and the Formula One needed the race to continue, so they wouldn't allow Jaguar or their team, to search the track for this $300,000 diamond. And so they went back after the race, continued to look, never found it. They brought the car back to the pits, took it apart, no diamond. The diamond is still there in the Lowe's corner in Monaco. Sounds like a trip, doesn't it? Doesn't that sound like a road trip? Just go and poke around and $300,000 diamond. I just had, it's a funny, it's a fact. It really happened. But doesn't it feel a little suspicious? Just a little bit. Yeah. Somebody's got that diamond. I don't think it's in the grass. Maybe it could be. It could be. Crash happened, flew off the car, some distance away. They're looking in the wrong spot. It could be the diamond is out there somewhere. Could be. I doubt it. So here we are, December 26th. Closing in on the end of 2016. And I was thinking about George Michael. He passed away yesterday. And passed away on Christmas Day. And I had to do some emergency shopping yesterday. I went to the market and just got the word that, George Michael had passed. And I'm pulling out. I'm listening to Christmas music in the car. I'm by myself. And it's on one of those stations that, it's just playing Christmas music, 24 Coast or whatever. This Christmas comes, or last Christmas, the George Michael song comes on over the radio. I was like, man, don't they know that he just died? And I was thinking, no, this is an automated system, right? These Christmas songs were put into this playlist, last month, 6 months ago, whatever, right? So this is automatic. And you don't have a DJ, coming on the radio talking about it. But it just allowed me to stop and think. It's just like, wow, 2016 was kind of a rowdy year, wasn't it? And so today I'm listening. I admit it. I'm going back and just checking out George Michael. Like the dude, man, he was cool. And I started to think of everybody that we lost over 2016. So I just want to, just kind of take a second here for all of us to reflect the year. This isn't everybody that was lost, but these are the ones that, I think affected me and you the most, where we just kind of tripped, if you know what I mean. But, of course, David Bowie this year, Alan Rickman, right? Glenn Frey, Harper Lee, George Martin, producer of the Beatles, Prince, Muhammad Ali, Leonard Cohen. Last week, Alan Thicke. Yesterday, George Michael. And I was just like, wow, kind of crazy. Kind of a crazy year. So, we're going to reflect on 2016 throughout the rest of the week, of course, and we'll do that in grand style on Thursday night, Fader night. And what I've started to do over the last few days is starting to put a list together of the crazy events of the year. And it was just a nutty year. I'm kind of glad to get 2016 over and done with. And there was a lot of great things that went down this year. A lot of great. Seriously. And a lot of crazy, too. So, let's get 2016 behind us. 2017's right in front of us. And I just think it's going to be a grand old time. And we'll ride it out there together. All right? And there you go. All right, so let's get back to conspiracies. Let's do this. Since last Tuesday, foreign travelers arriving in the United States on the visa waiver program have been presented with an optional request to enter information. The prompt includes a drop-down menu that lists platforms including Facebook, Google+, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, as well as a space for users to input their account names that you use for those sites. Now, listen to what I'm saying here. The new measure only applies to visitors from 38 countries on the visa waiver program, which allows for those visitors to visit the United States for up to 90 days without a visa. It includes America's best friends, like the United Kingdom, several European countries, and Australia. It's a trippy thing. Feeding this into secret algorithms, all the information that you are given right there is going somewhere. And it's being stored on databases for future use, which to me represents some Orwellian intrusion in the interest of mass surveillance. Think about this for a second. If you want to visit the United States on this waiver program, and you get presented with this, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Well, if I don't do this, I'm going to be flagged. If I don't do this, I'm going to get stopped when this plane lands at customs. If I don't do this, I might not be able to, right? You fill in the blanks, and you start to feel like you're going to get hassled, or now that you are on some sort of list because you aren't playing ball, right? And with that one single question, if you stop and think about it, the United States is proving once again how easily it can intrude and invade on the privacy of millions of people under the guise of the never-ending war on terror. So are you against it or are you for it? These are the questions that you start asking yourself. And how are people going to look at you? How's customs? How's the NSA going to flag you, or the CIA or the FBI? And what database are you going to go into if you don't do it? If you don't do it, are you going to get followed? Are you going to get hassled? Are you going to get blacklisted? So then you do what you think is the right thing, and you go and start giving up your Facebook account, your Instagram, right? YouTube, really? Even if social media, even if that question gains no useful information for combating actual threats, it allows the continued expansion of the surveillance state. Where does it end? I have to tell you, when you fly international, and you know what I'm talking about, and they give you that customs form, right, that you got to fill out. Even that little thing, but that you feel the pressure. Man, if I just check the wrong thing here, man, they're going to turn this plane around. If I just check the wrong thing here, the second I set foot off this plane, I'm going to get nabbed. And we're all accustomed to that. Now we have this. And certainly being able to travel freely without a visa for up to 90 days is a pretty cool thing, especially coming into the United States. Going out of the United States, going to certain countries with visa waivers, pretty cool. Right? Not having to apply for it or sweating or wondering if you're even going to get it. So this program is cool, but now it comes with a price. Very simple. The decision right now, to me, would reverse the government's longstanding position that calculating such a number may be technically impossible and would require privacy intrusions exceeding those raised by actual surveillance programs. In other words, right now, the Pentagon, the NSA, the CIA, all are saying the same thing. We're surveilling United States citizens. We're surveilling a lot of people, but the number is so big that we can't tell you what's going on. The number is so huge. The United States intelligence community has committed to providing as soon as possible now, because of the pressure from shows like this, to publicly estimate the number of U.S. persons whose electronic communications are under surveillance right now in the United States. And part of that surveillance, how? It comes from a lot of different sources, but one of them is just giving it to them when you travel. You're going right into the database. If you think about this for a second, the trail that has started, and anything accidental, and this is where it gets crazy for me, anything accidental that happens, you click on the wrong website, somebody sends you the wrong email, you open the wrong email, some crazy thing happens, totally innocent, totally whatever, and suddenly you get stuck into the dots that are connected in something that is crazy, and it's only because you had entered your name into a database and you accepted some friend request and that guy's connected to somebody else and you are named and you're just a guy or a girl doing your thing. This is very, very uncomfortable. Now, they say that they're going to do this soon, and they're saying that calculating such a large number may be technically impossible. I'm reading quotes here directly from them. It also comes as Congress is expected to begin debate in the coming months over whether to reauthorize or reform the surveillance authority, known as Section 702. It's a provision that was added to the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act back in 2008. Bill 702 will expire on December 31st, 2017. Absent congressional action, of course. It enables 2 internet surveillance programs. One is called PRISM, and the other one is called Upstream, that were revealed in a series of leaks by Edward Snowden more than 3 years ago. Section 702. Before I say, hey, we need to call our congressman, we need to call our senator, we need to get a petition going, we need to do something about it, I doubt that anything can be done. And these things like nabbing people and making them feel uncomfortable just to get their social media presence, right? You want to come into the United States, hit the drop-down menu. You don't want a visa, that's cool, but you've got to give us your Instagram account. You've got to give us your Facebook, your YouTube channel, your Twitter account. And I assure you, the guilt that one feels by choosing not to give up that information, that's going to flag something. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Either way it goes, you're going into the system. Who is in control of it? Who's in control of the data? Where does it go? And how is it used? And how long is it stored? We know nothing. I don't know how congressional hearings could be held on something like this, where citizens, like myself or like you, would go up and literally pummel Congress and ask for answers on this. I don't think it could be done. I really don't. And I don't think that the questions could be answered. And it seems like we're in a position right now that this is increasing instead of going the other way. And that there is nothing us as citizens, and I'm not trying to be a fearmonger. I'm just saying, to get on a plane You don't need my Facebook account. You just don't need it. There was, I forget, Rita and I were flying somewhere last year, and I remember on a domestic flight, that information was asked. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. No. Not giving it up. There you go. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Damon T. Barry. The Black Knight Satellites invitation number 6. Oh, I'm so excited to have Damon back on the show. Tomorrow night, Jason Quidd is here. Wednesday night, Lori McDonald. Thursday night is another Fader night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom Live. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I'll be right back with filmmaker Damon T. Barry. Stay right there.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. It's a holiday season with hope in the air. Things to look forward to and no time for despair. Health can be a challenge, and so can the mail. So Get the Tea wants to help you by giving you a sale. Buy 2 months of Super Tea and get 1 month for free. No limit. That's buy 2 months of Super Tea and get 1 month free. That's a savings of $35. Where? GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Scroll down on the front page and find the buy 2, get 1 free ad. Click it and save. Orders over $100 get free shipping. Send the gift of life. Change tea at GetTheTea.com. We have many non-GMO organic supplements just waiting for you. This holiday season, enjoy health and Thanksgiving with GetTheTea.com. Want to call us? 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. GetTheTea.com is a proud sponsor of doing what's right. That's GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletzky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fader-Knots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow us on Twitter right now at JChurchRadio. That's what you want to do. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Hashtag F2BQ is Fade to Black questions. If you have any questions for myself or Damon T. Barry tonight, post it right there. I will get to it in real time, I promise. Wow, very excited. Damon T. Barry. He is an American film director, a screenwriter, and producer, best known for writing and directing The Knowledge of the Forever Time, a riveting documentary film series that has completely rewritten the history of mankind. It explores and reveals ancient knowledge in a way that no one has ever done before. Damon began his professional career as a radio broadcaster. His voice became his trademark, and he became one of the most sought-after voices in the business. Barry then accepted a position with the Walt Disney Company where he would learn the art of script writing and movie making. While visiting the ancient pyramids in Egypt, he experienced a powerful transformation of psyche and self. And this experience was so life-altering that he returned to the United States and began writing. He created an amazing film series that never leaves you with questions, and instead, it leaves you with unforgiving answers. I've talked about this a lot on Fade to Black. There are no questions of why or how can this be, but instead there are answers. Each episode is called an invitation, as each episode is an invitation to a new age of man, a new age of earth, and the new age of enlightenment. Tonight, we're going to discuss his latest production, The Knowledge of the Forever Time, The Black Knight Satellite, invitation number 6. I would like to welcome back warmly to Fade to Black, Damon T. Barry. Damon, good evening.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for all that you do. Okay, so let's get all that stuff out of the way. Okay, thank you so much. I really enjoyed the new project, and obviously we're going to jump into that feat first tonight. And but before we get started, I wanted you to reach out to your team and thank them too as well. Who is the team that you've assembled for the production of The Knowledge of the Forever Time series?
Well, believe it or not, I'm located in Dallas, and the team that I work with is out in California. They've got a studio called Adam Tree Productions. So we generally work together via online, or a few times, a year I'll fly out there and we'll put some ideas together. And most of them do. We separate the duties of research, but they handle most of the graphics and the great presentations to make it look good when we put it into a film. So we've been working with them for probably 5 years now, and we all see each other on the same, we have the same goal, we have the same vision, and when we work together, the goal is to create something that no one else has heard before. The whole goal is to create something that people haven't seen before. So that becomes the challenge. But once you unlock these mysteries that are all over our world, it's almost easy, because once you understand the full story, everything from Göbekli Tepe to Easter Island to the pyramids to the Mayans, they're all telling the exact same tale. And what makes it so astounding is it's telling a tale in a time when we are taught by historians and our lecturers and our professors that humanity was cut off by the oceans and the seas, and there was no contact between civilizations. And all this knowledge is proving that all of that is completely wrong.
Let me write that down. Adam Tree Productions. Okay, got it. Stolen. Consider it stolen. Those guys are really, 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 really good. And,
yes.
You and I have talked about this before, but it goes without saying. It's one thing to have the message or your voice, doing this, but it's a whole other thing to have the visual treatment that you have applied to these productions. It is total ear candy, and it sucks you in from the beginning. And it just has to be mentioned, the quality of what's going on.
Well, thank you so much. And they are listening right now, so they're pretty happy with hearing you say that, I'm sure.
Okay. All right. Adam Tree, give me a call tomorrow. Just kidding. I mean, it's just really, really good stuff. And okay, so let's kind of start here, because the last time that you were on the show, we went through, I think we went through nearly every invitation last time. And I remember at the end of the show, when I happened to bring up Black Knight Satellite, you said, Okay, you're going to have to wait. Which is
that was in the works at that time.
It was, and you caught me by surprise. And but anyway, I'm excited to have you on to talk about this tonight. But let's start here. I want to start with your definition of the Black Knight satellite. It's been out there for a long time in conspiracy circles. I've covered it a lot on this show. There's a lot of visual evidence, not only from NASA, but otherwise, that has been out there. And everybody's got a different interpretation of this. Certainly Pepsi Cola's got a different interpretation. We have
That's what I saw on your show last time. You showed me that Pepsi Cola had one.
Right. So what's your definition of the Black Knight satellite?
Well, the invitation number 6, the knowledge of the forever time. I've just recently understood what the Black Knight satellite was within the past year, and there is a lot of evidence that show it to be a conspiracy. There's no hard evidence that really shows that it exists that I've seen. NASA has a very powerful argument for everything that we are presenting. I mean, we're saying in these pictures, this is the Black Knight satellite. They'll show another picture, this is the Black Knight satellite, and they'll show another picture of it flying next to the space shuttle. And NASA's response to that, it is a thermal blanket. That's all it is that you're capturing and you're saying is a satellite. It isn't a satellite, it's a thermal blanket. And when you look at each frame of the Black Knight satellite, frame by frame by frame, it clearly shows that it's changing shape as a thermal blanket would look when it's rolling in space, when it's falling down to Earth. So the one thing that you know about NASA is, and if you ever watched any NASA feed of anything in space, NASA will show you a feed of everything in space. But the minute a UFO flies by, the minute an unforeseen light appears, the minute anything out of the ordinary happens, they cut the feed immediately. They literally just cut it right off. And when this picture that we're calling the Black Knight satellite, they let that feed run. So because they're letting that feed run, that tells me that this truly is a thermal blanket. Now, there's a lot of people who argue with that. I argued with that as well. But the film that we created is a film that is to take the discussion of debate completely out of the mix. We created a film that shows positively, with proof positive, that there is a satellite. It is an ancient satellite. It has been here. And we tried to create a film that is more powerful than the evidence that we find today, because the Black Knight satellite is basically, do you believe or don't you believe? So it's still left in the hazy world of belief. So we created a film to where we're showing you proof positive that this thing does exist, it is in our world, and we can also prove that it's been in our world, not just for 13,000 years ago, 50 and 60,000 years ago. And each of these revelations that are revealed in the film will show you a conclusive evidence that would support the fact that this thing is real.
When NASA's problem for me started when they pulled down the pictures that they had up of the Black Knight satellite. And all that's going to do, when you go and do something like that without explanation, is you allow imagination to run wild. But they certainly did pull down, and if it was a blanket, and then they also said, if you remember, Damon, they said that it was like an ejection seat or some kind of seat from the space shuttle that somehow got outside of the, and I'm sorry, but it's much too large for that.
Now that was strange. When they added that to the discussion, that was a little bit different.
So if you don't come clean, look, just come clean, and we're cool with it. We can move on, right? But don't pull down the photographs. That right there is just guilt, right?
Well, it was too late. By the time they pulled down the photograph, I mean, if you go online, all those photographs are still there. I mean, they're everywhere over the internet.
That's right.
You can find tons of, but they're generally of the same picture. So the thing we were trying to do is we're trying to show you without pictures. We're trying to show you the evidence that a satellite is required for each of these steps in our evolution as a civilization. So we're approaching it from a position to where you don't need to see something flying in the space to know that it exists. And that's what we were trying to create.
Well, and then you have everything that was going through the 50s about through like 1960, 61, when we knew that there wasn't any artificial satellites out there before 1958, right? Clearly, we didn't launch anything. And we started seeing stuff. And we were tracking it. It shows up in magazines and newspapers, and it was in a polar orbit. It was seen. It was photographed. It was being tracked by observatories, and because we knew that there was nothing else up there. And but of all things, it was in a polar orbit, and it just allowed historians to go back and go, wait a minute, Tesla said something. Wasn't there something in 1928 too as well? Wasn't there something else? And And so there's evidence of this being up there, but they don't want to talk about it. And those questions about what was in that polar orbit have never been addressed and never answered, not by the Soviets, the Chinese, or us.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I think the thing that the government has to wrestle with is how do we respond? How will human beings react? And if history is any guide, I mean, we're really not to the point to where every one of us will remain calm. And I think that's part of the problem. So that's why we hide information about UFOs, we hide information about satellite, we hide various very important things that we should know as rational people, but the government clearly believes that we are not rational enough to receive this information and confirm it.
Yeah, if they keep this up, they're not really going to be too happy about what we're going to be like when we do find out. It's not going to be because it's not, out of happiness or joy. We're going to be angry about the big lie that has been laid onto us. I wanted to, before we move on, a couple of things I want to address. I want to ask you your feelings about the Pepsi 10-minute film. Well, actually, let's go there. What did you think after you finally saw it?
Well, it was a bit surprising. I mean, it was well produced, but it made me feel a little bit better because I thought you had one on me, to be honest. You told me to watch the video and that I would see something, I would learn something. It's a very good video, but it was not what we were creating. So that's the only thing that I was concerned with. I was like, are they really on to something that we're creating right now?
Oh, I got you.
Is this going to be is this going to be take away from what we're doing? That's what I was really looking for when I watched it.
Well, what I wanted you to take note of, that what really grabbed me was the fact that out of the gate at the beginning, they state that everything you're about to see is fact.
Yes.
And that's using a lot of corporate influence over a dedicated consumer base out there. And you are telling them that this is fact, and they're going, man, it's Pepsi. I guess this is real. That's the part.
Yeah, that's right. They did say that. I forgot about that.
That was the one thing that still, I mean, that's using the power of, corporate identity and corporate logos and bonding and consumerism and the dedication that you have out there from a committed, economy that's propping up your company. Well, they believe in you, right? And you go and you say,
I would have to say,
yeah,
you're right.
So, so that combined with your production is it's Damon T. Barry, so it comes from another mindset than we are used to. At the very beginning, let me announce this to the audience really quick. All we are going to do tonight, I'm going to walk Damon through some specific points that I want to address with the video. In no way am I doing any killing of the video. There is there's none of that's going to go on. You need to go and watch the entire video so you can see what is in between the dots that we are connecting tonight. But I've got some very specific questions I need to get answered here, and they will all help you as you watch the video. All right, so we're clear. Good. Okay, let's move on. At the very beginning of the presentation of Black Knight Satellite Invitation 6, you say things like, and you do this with intention, Damon, you say things like end of the earth, that save as many as we can, to save this one line here was extraordinary, to save the next human beings that will come to this planet after we are all gone. Now, that's at the very front, and it's an ominous kind of platform to take off with. So let's start with the end of the earth. What did you mean by saying that?
The earth lives in cycles, and one of the things that we have to confront if we're ever to move forward is we have a certain amount of time as human beings to develop a particular stage of intelligence, and then the world is completely wiped away. Last time we were on the show, we talked about, ice core samples.
Right.
Ice core samples will tell us what happens on our Earth. We have ice core samples going back 500,000 years. And there is a cycle to the Earth with the amount of carbon that is emitted in each Earth that is created, which shows that human beings are interacting with the environment and creating a civilization. And like Göbekli Tepe, there is evidence that there have been civilizations here before us. And that civilization, like Göbekli Tepe, is literally just covered over. It's not destroyed. Somebody just comes by and covers it over with dirt so that no one discovers it. And as human beings, we have evidence that humans have been on this earth for over 1 million years. And yet, past 5,000 years ago, we have no knowledge of what happened.
Right.
We have no clue of what happened on this earth. And we start telling our history begins right around 4000 BC when we start telling a story of man coming out of a cave and man being a hunter-gatherer and man learning how to how to understand agriculture. And we don't tell any of the story that came before us because it supposedly doesn't exist. Science tells us that the earth began 4,500 BC. But anything past that, we have no idea. And yet we can say the Sphinx is 10,000 years old. We can say the pyramid is 10,000 years old, but we have no knowledge of what happened. And cave paintings are showing us something. If you just walk through all the archaeological evidence, it's showing you something. It's showing you that there was a civilization like ours that was 10,000 years ago. They created the pyramids, which we cannot do successfully today without a lot of engineering and a lot of computing power. Prior to that, we find cave paintings that show us, the Aborigines will say these are space travelers from the skies, but if you look at the cave painting and understand it, it is a satellite view of the cosmos showing you deep into space and a black hole. You go into another cave painting, which is 65,000 years old. It shows you a detailed look of the cosmos, complete with a sun, a structure, dividing planets. And this is 50 and 60,000 years ago. So the thing that we're learning is there's been civilizations before us over and over and over again, and yet with the end of each civilization, they are completely wiped out. And here we are, 5,000 years later, we have all this evidence showing us that there was a civilization here, and we have no knowledge of what happened to them. They're just completely wiped out. And the one thing that we learned from the Babylonians and the Sumerians and even the Mayans record the civilization of man as beginning in 3114 BC. That's when our civilization began to take off. But they call for an end of our civilization in 2012. So when you put those numbers together, it factors something that shows in the core samples, ice core. Each civilization of man is only given 5,125 years to thrive. After that point, a destruction happens, and they're completely wiped out. We passed our 5,125 year cycle in 2011.
Right.
So that's 5 years ago. So
right.
We're past the time where we're supposed to be. And the one thing that's important about this is every civilization that came before us, they're doing the same thing we're doing now, except their world got wiped out. They have everything that we have today, and they did everything we're doing now, and they got wiped out. So the question is, do we learn from them and change our fate, or do we continue to do the exact same thing they did and get wiped out? Because history as a guide is showing us this is happening every 5,125 years. Civilizations just get wiped out, and there's no record of what happens to them.
Have you seen the film Werner Herzog, The Cave of Forgotten Dreams?
I've seen parts of it.
Okay. It's an extraordinary documentary for sure. It is. And the Chauvet those caves, nobody can get into them. So the way that they're only open. They open up the doors like 3 days a year, right? They've completely preserved and sealed off these caves. So I'm glad that they have. But guys like you and I, we can't go, right? So Herzog gets in there, and the way that he has shot those cave paintings, Rita and I, we watched it a couple of times, and all we kept saying is Damon T. Barry, right? Because it made us look at these cave paintings with a different set of eyes, right? And yeah, this element of perspective and shadow and motion and what is presented there, it just makes you ask questions. It doesn't solve anything. That documentary did to me exactly what you suggest that the cave painting should do to me, and I think it's extraordinary. And we just brush it off with, yeah, well, Caveman was pretty talented.
And that's sad. That's really sad, because the Chauvet caves are telling us something very different from all the others. Each cave is telling us something different.
Right.
And they all play a narrative as to what happens in the end. Because there is something that happens on this earth after 5,125 years that destroys every human being on the earth. And then we start over. There's something about every cave painting that people haven't picked up on, and it's very important. And the Chauvet cave will show you something very important. When we reach this point, something comes to our earth, and this is based on the archaeological record. Something comes to our earth and wipes out humanity, just completely wipes us out. And the one thing that you'll find in the Chauvet cave and all the other caves, and in most caves you'll find pictures of hands. Just hands, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hands. So you ask yourself, why were these cave painters just making prints of their hands all over the place? But there's hands everywhere. The one thing that you find out, though, is the majority, 99% of all the hands you find painted in a cave are female. Only females. And in the Chauvet caves, this one thing that people don't see, they'll show plenty of different animals, but the majority of animals that you find in the Chauvet caves are lions. There's just tons of pictures of lions.
Right.
But if you look at the lions, there's never any males. It's only female lions. So what happens on this earth has something to do with eliminating males. Because in every part of our world, these cave painters are always females. And there's a story that is found in the archaeological record that tells us the importance of a lion. I don't know if you remember, in the ancient kingdom, the lion was everything.
That's right.
So every god was named after a lion. Every king was named after a lion, because a lion was very important. But a lion has a very, very identifying distinction between all other animals. When a lion comes to rule, he kills all the males. And the story that we're getting from these archaeological sites and these cave paintings is something does come to this earth, and males will fight, but that is inevitably to the end of the civilization, because after that, everything that is found left on the earth is always left by females.
Let me ask you, we're going to head to a break here in 3 minutes. Your message isn't doom and gloom, right? It's not fear porn.
No,
your message is a
not.
Positive one. And when somebody hears you say that, they're like, well, man, geez, I might as well not even make my credit card payments.
No. What's important about what we're creating is each of these civilizations that get wiped out, they have one rule: leave no trace of your civilization. Leave no marker, leave no clue, nothing. The next humans that come to this earth are to have no knowledge of what happened. Just like we began our earth 4,000 years ago and we have no clue what happened before us, it's in every earth starts like that. What's important about this part of our earth that we have something that all the other earths never had.
What's that?
Clues.
Yes.
We have clues that's telling us what we need to do, what we need to change in order to survive. And it really comes down to whether we believe these ancient writings, whether we believe these ancient paintings, whether we will change. That's really our hope, is that each of us will become wise enough to accept these ancient peoples as equal to us instead of looking at them as ancient. They were dumb, they were cavemen, they had no clue, and they're showing us that they were just as smart as we are. So the hope is that we will all as a civilization finally not look at them as dumb cavemen and look at them as technological peoples and learn from them.
The Chauvet Caves, just like any good artwork, will move you emotionally. And the first time I saw the Herzog documentary, because he filmed it correctly, in high def, you you start crying. I mean, these are as incredible as it gets when it comes to artwork. Were you moved emotionally like that too as well?
Mine was very different. I didn't discover his film probably until last year. For me, we did a documentary, which was a basic documentary because do we have time or you have a commercial break?
We've got, take 30 seconds, and then we'll pick it up on the backside.
Okay. It started off with UFO videos, believe it or not. That's how I got into cave paintings. It's really where it started. UFOs, if you look at UFO videos on YouTube or anywhere, all these UFOs all in the sky, I started noticing each of these UFOs that show up, they create the same pattern. All of them do the same pattern, no matter what part of the world. They start off with a pattern of Orion, then they'll create a pattern of Cygnus, star constellations. And I couldn't understand why these UFOs are always creating star constellations.
Believe it or not,
I saw Chauvet Caves and I saw stars.
Yeah, exactly.
Jump from there.
Exactly. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Damon T. Barry, talking about his newest production. Yeah, that's right. The Black Knight Satellite, Invitation number 6. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. We'll be right back with Damon right after this. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
How you doing? It's Jimmy here from Zipa. Today I wanted to tell you about my efforts to achieve global elimination of snoring. It all starts with respect. Respect for yourself and respect for others. Listen, you think you're being a nice guy or a nice girl by letting the guy or girl next to you sleep and snore every night. It's the ultimate disrespect to have that happen. You wake that person up and you tell them, go to Zipa.com now. ZYPPAH.com. We're not going to tolerate this, all right? Snoring is not okay. Someone next to you is snoring, you tell them to buy a Zipa. ZYPPAH.com. I know that you're listening to these snoring things and you're thinking, well, it don't apply to me. I don't have these problems. A lot of people are in denial, but it's true. Listen, if you're snoring, you got to stop it. What you got to do is get this fixed. Get a Zipa and change your life. ZYPPAH.com.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier, and this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier, and I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers, and you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers
packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Damon T. Berry, filmmaker. We're talking about his latest production, Black Knight Satellite, Invitation Number 6. And Damon, I'm gonna hit you with this really quick because you addressed this at the beginning of Black Knight, and I think this needs to be driven home. And it's this: the definition of cognitive dissonance, which is the mental stress or discomfort experienced by an individual who holds 2 or more contradictory beliefs, ideas, or values at the same time. And that's exactly what this show is about. I'm constantly causing this, or I'm not doing my job. Right? And this is a point that you really wanted to drive home. But I want to give you the opportunity to explain why, because at the beginning you set it up in the film, right? It's there.
Yes.
But for those that aren't familiar with it or the stress that is involved with this, it's a point that needs to be made. So why did you choose to do that at the front of Black Knight?
Well, because there is archaeological evidence that goes back 100 million years that shows us that civilization was on this earth, and then they got wiped out, and then another civilization comes and they get wiped out, and another one comes. The reason they all get wiped out apparently is the same reason. We reach a certain level of intelligence, a certain level of a professional understanding of our world, and we won't listen to anyone. And the one thing about cognitive dissonance, it's when you are faced with something that is completely impossible to your mind, instead of accepting it as a reality, will retreat. It will literally go back to a point to where you never heard it. And it really is a disease. So it's kind of like today we're talking about the Black Knight satellite. And everyone's proof of the Black Knight satellite is seeing a picture in the sky. But if you show them proof that the satellite was here 2,000 years ago, and an entire civilization was using cell phones, Bluetooth, computers, automobiles, your first inclination will be, that's impossible.
Right.
It can't possibly be true. But then if you're able to prove that it's true, if you're able to show them that it's true, the brain will do something very unbelievable. It'll revert back to the point before you spoke, so they won't have to identify with it. The one thing about human beings, especially human beings in the technological age, when we hear new knowledge that is contrary to what we've been taught by our professors or our favorite lecturer or our favorite astrophysicist or something that we've been taught our whole lives, when we are confronted with this new knowledge, our first instinct is to say, no, it's not. And the reason we do that is because subconsciously it is an attack on ourselves. We take it as an attack on our psyche, an attack on our mind, so we naturally discount it. It can't possibly be true, and we do our best to get away from it. And the reason this is so important that we don't do this is because we are at the point in our development as humanity that the world that came before us was at. And if we can learn from what they've done, we can change our future. Because a time will come when we have to face the facts. And the one thing about dealing with these different ideas in the mind, once we find the true facts, we'll go back to what we believe. And finding the truth and what you believe creates the problem for humanity, which is ultimately why we get wiped out.
Do you think that with the advances that we have in knowledge today, of referencing directly to the internet and the ability to get at information, that cognitive dissonance can possibly now start to go away when we are maturing as a race, right? We're getting older, we're getting smarter, we're starting to figure things out. And one of the things we're figuring out is we have been lied to a lot. And when it comes to ancient history and trying to fill in these blanks, we now have the ability to do that. It's programs like this, productions like yours that is exposing this truth to people. And that cognitive dissonance that is there, that has been so frustrating and confusing everybody for so long, could possibly start to go away, and that mental stress that is caused may start to wane?
Well, I think that everything you just said is absolutely true. The one problem is there's not enough people that think like Jimmy Church.
Right.
There's not enough people who question what was here before.
Right.
There's not enough people who believe in cave paintings or believe in the messages of the pyramids. There's just not enough of us. And the compendium that is created in the ancient world is created so that we can understand all these things. And believe it or not, the thing that destroys us, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but I just want to be as honest as possible. The thing that destroys our world is our beliefs. It's what we believe. Because we are taught in our world what we believe is everything. If you think it, it's true. If you believe it, it's true. If you believe it can come true, it can. So this philosophy of belief being more important than the actual world around us, than the actual facts that present themselves, that's what creates cognitive dissonance. Because we're presenting facts and knowledge that are contrary to what you believe, and most people would rather have their beliefs than truth. And that's what creates the schism in the psyche of the human being.
Before we move on to Egypt and Ra, I want to nail that specifically, but there seems to be something going on right now down in Antarctica. There's something going on, and us on the fringe have always understood that Antarctica is a magical place and there's things down there we need answers from. But now it appears that there is something truly going on. There's a lot of focus going on down south. What do you think ultimately is happening there? Could it be a 50 or 100,000 or a million-year-old civilization has been discovered? Do you think there's some knowledge down there that they're holding back from us?
I think, I'm not going to say I think, I'm sure that there is a lot of knowledge in that particular area. The one thing that I've learned from looking at these hieroglyphics, it's the places that are usually off limits to mankind at a certain point, because of the temperature or the altitude or things like that. It's once the world heats up, once the atmosphere gets warm, that you begin to uncover all of these things that are hidden. And those things precede something else happening. The one thing that I saw on these Mayan hieroglyphs, which is really interesting, the Greeks tell us that the end of the world comes from underneath the water. The Greeks tell us that there was the Kraken. The Kraken comes from underneath the water and then destroys civilization. And there's a UFO, I don't know if you remember the UFO story in Chicago. I believe it was in 2007 or 2008.
Over O'Hare Airport? Yes.
You remember that story?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah, UFO shows up in Chicago. It just appears, and then it hovers over gate C-17. It just sits there, doesn't do anything. It just sits over C-17. And then when everyone sees it, suddenly it goes straight up into the sky, makes a big, beautiful hole in the clouds, and then it's gone. The one thing about that that the UFOs, when they appear in our world, they're never here for us to just look at them. They're always conveying a message. They're always telling us something. And the message is, hovering over gate C-17 means there is something in the cosmos that's called NC-17 or NGC-17, which means New Catalog of Stars. It's a place in the cosmos. So this UFO is going up above it, showing us how to get there. If you unfurl the map, though, of where this UFO is telling us to go, C-17 is the place of the Kraken.
No.
It's something that comes from the water
Really?
that destroyed the last world. That's why there was a flood, because we think that an asteroid comes in and hits the water and causes the tsunami that covers the world. But what these UFOs are telling us, it comes from beneath the water. So there's something already down there. I don't know if you noticed that there is, in the news, there's tons of people saying we're hearing strange sounds in the ocean.
Right.
I mean, it's like 20,000 feet down, we're hearing strange noises. They're almost radio signals. And if you go back to the Mayans, they're showing us some water-like creature that has wings that comes from the water. And this Mayan symbol is always associated with the destruction. So when we're talking about the Antarctic, I'm sure there's a lot more knowledge there because it's been less traveled by man. So I'm sure there's lots of things out there that are really true that we just haven't discovered.
The ancient symbol you mentioned, I'm trying to think exactly how you put it, but any ancient symbol that has a circular tail, yes, that it is an object, signifying that it is an object in the cosmos. What do you mean by this? Because I think it's an important point to drive home, but what are you really trying to say?
The circular tail on the head or the crown of anything in Egypt is telling us that it is something that flies, usually something in the cosmos that rotates. The circular tail means that it's rotating, it's turning in a circle. And whenever you see an ancient symbol in Egypt, if you can divorce yourself from cognitive dissonance, if you can let go of the idea that you know everything and accept them as equally as intelligent as we are, you'll see something completely different. Because the eye of Ra that most people see, it's an eye, but then it has two posts beneath it. One post goes straight down, the other post kind of rolls off in a circular tail. And when you look at an eye and you see it has two posts beneath it, and one of them has a circular tail, what this is telling you is this is an eye that flies. And it also flies in a rotating orientation. And if you look back into the ancient record, next to that eye, there's always a bird with wings. So it's showing you that it is something mechanical. And if you look deep into the history, you open it up, it's a satellite. Because if you look at a satellite, it flies, it's in the sky, and it also rotates all the time. And when they put this symbol on there, it's like they're the only nation that's really giving us clues, to be honest. And they're giving us great clues. If we can stop and listen to them instead of thinking they built the pyramid with ropes and pulleys and rock and oil, if we can let go of that, we will find there's so much knowledge, and they're literally at the same point of development that we are. And there's one more thing that I have to make a distinction, which tells us about our belief versus the other civilizations.
What's that?
Every civilization that came before us, within 5,125 years, they all left this earth. They all entered into a stargate, and they all returned. We are past our date by 5 years, and we're not even 20 years near to completing that. So in terms of all the other civilizations that came before us, we're the slowest.
Wow.
Sorry to say.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's continue. Again, everybody, it's not doom and gloom. Okay.
It's not doom and gloom. We can change it.
Yes, we can change it. Why hasn't I have tons and tons of books on Egypt here in history. It's one of the things that I study every single day. My wife and I, we are up to our eyeballs with the history of Egypt. And so immediately, a couple of weeks ago, right when your video was released, I went and started pulling out books to look at the Eye of Ra. And now I cannot help but notice it everywhere. Why hasn't, I'm serious too, why hasn't any researcher or Egyptologist said anything about this up to now? Do they know something? Or are they holding this information from us on purpose?
Well, there's an old saying. When you're searching for something or trying to uncover something, if you look for what you believe, you'll find it. But if you look for truth, you won't. And the sad thing about the researchers that we're all looking back saying, how come we didn't know all this stuff? Most of our researchers were looking for things that confirmed what they already thought.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
weren't really looking for truth, and those are two different things. So the one thing I've learned is that truth does not side with its seeker. So if you're saying, I'm going to dig for truth, remember, if you're looking for truth, it's not going to be what you think it is. It's not going to be what you hope it is. And if you're really looking for truth, you have to accept it when it comes out. And that's the way I approach it. I wipe my slate clean. Whatever I find is it, and that is the creation. And there's something else, and this will show you about humans. For example, we will see the god Osiris in Egypt. He'll be standing on a boat. The boat will be in the sky, and we assume, well, he's on the boat. He's on the Nile River, and he's going up doing something. That's what Egyptologists will tell us, because that's what they see. But if you look at the hieroglyph, he's on a boat, there is no water, and all around him are stars. With Egypt, you have to look close because they give you clues. And you'll say, what kind of boat is in the stars? And then if you look even closer, look at the oars that are on the boat. The oar has a head of a bird, and the bottom of the oar has feathers. This is clearly a vehicle that flies.
Interesting.
So, yes, when we're able to let go of this idea that we are superior to them, instead of looking at them saying, what do you have to show us? What are you telling us? That's our hope. That's our only hope. And it's people like you, and it's other people who are realizing, the history that we've been taught isn't true. You are our only hope to changing the cycle that happens to us.
When we look at ancient Greece, and you can put the Romans into this, and maybe China too as well, but certainly with Egypt and Greece, that their knowledge of math, right, geometry, architecture, the cosmos, astronomy, democracy, laws, they were a fully developed civilization. And,
yes.
and to my eyes, and Rita brought this point up to me again last night, is that they had everything that we had here in the United States 200 years ago, right?
Exactly.
Pretty much the very same knowledge. 2,000 years ago, they should have been on their way to electricity and computers within a couple of decades. And I'm not kidding about this, right? They were right there with the knowledge, and then amnesia sets in. You were referring to this earlier, that oral tradition. It's all gone and disappeared. Why is that? What happened to Egypt? What happened to Greece? What happened to the development of that knowledge where it just seems like everybody got stupid overnight?
There is something that happens in our world that we are not supposed to know, because no civilization ever leaves us records. But there's always that one guy in every civilization, 100 million years ago, when they say clean up the entire world, leave no trace of anything.
Right.
They'll scour it clean, but there's always that one guy who'll drop a hammer, cover it in the dirt, and just walk away.
Right.
There's always that one guy who will take a mechanical device and leave it in a cave on purpose.
Right.
There's always somebody on that other side that wants us to figure it out, because in the end, it does save us. And the one thing that you're talking about, Egypt and all of these different nations, you have to remember how the world began. It'll tell you everything. The Sumerian text, the first civilization we have on earth, tells us a story of how the world began. And everyone begins the story saying, they brought us here. Cities were already built for us. Houses were already built for us. And they told us to live. That's how it began. So there's this something that comes. It takes humanity, wipes the earth clean, and then restarts it. Because the one thing about the Mayans had all the knowledge. They had more knowledge than probably any of the other nations. And just like clockwork, anyone who has the knowledge, anyone who understands, they're completely taken from the face of the earth. Next thing you know, 300 to 1 million people of the Mayans are gone, just completely gone. And our understanding is, well, maybe the civilization collapsed, maybe it was over-foraging. There's no evidence of any of that. But 1 million people just gone overnight. And all these other civilizations that we find throughout history, this is normal. In the Antarctic, there were people who lived out there. They had these strange creations of these gods, they called them, strange alien-like figures that they created. And these civilizations in the Antarctic, gone overnight. Discoverers came to the cities and found that the fires were still burning, food was still being cooked, and 100,000 people gone.
Right.
So there's something that happens to where we are not supposed to have this knowledge. We're not supposed to know what happens to us in the end. And I think the understanding is we have to figure it out.
One of the most fascinating things for me, and I think for all of us, is the Great Pyramid of Egypt. And the reason why it is fascinating to me is here we have allegedly, let's just say 2500 BC, right? Let's just pull that number because nobody knows, but let's just pull let's pull that number out. Allegedly, Khufu, right? He built it for his sarcophagus, for his tomb. But that was at 2500 BC. And that was at the peak of everything that was Egypt. And from there on out, it went downhill. And if you go back behind that, you have Göbekli Tepe, where the same sophistication was there for Göbekli Tepe, and I'll argue this all day, that was there in ancient Egypt, but you have a 5,000-year gap, right? Well, that guy that dropped the hammer that you're referring to, right? Somebody survived Göbekli Tepe and got that knowledge. It's in the same general area, but then somebody behind Göbekli Tepe dropped that hammer too as well. And we could go back and keep continuing back where this knowledge is handed down. Why won't modern academia right now start to talk about this instead of staying in the denial side?
It all goes back to what you were talking about before, and that is that disease. I mean, it's really is a disease because new knowledge lets you know as a person you're wrong. It lets you know as a person everything that you've been taught is wrong. And most people take that personally. They don't take it as this is new knowledge, let me learn from it. They're personally insulted. And that's what brings the onset of the disease. So you go back to a point where you act like you never heard it because it preserves your self-esteem. And the one thing that I have to say about Egypt, the first knowledge of the forever time is about Egypt. The knowledge of the forever time, it tells what the pyramid is created for, what its purpose is, and it's all celestial. All of the archaeologists call the Great Pyramid Khufu's pyramid. It really is. It was created probably 10,000 BC, but it is Khufu's pyramid. And the reason that I understood what the pyramid was for, the pyramid takes you to the house of God. The pyramid takes you to where God and the angels live, where you go in the afterlife. The only reason I was able to unlock the pyramid, believe it or not, was Khufu. That's the clue. That was the clue they left us. It's Khufu's pyramid. And if you really look at Khufu and study his name in the hieroglyphic, it's a weird name. It's just a name of a bird, a pelican, a rock, and that's it. But once he created the pyramid, his name changed. The characters changed. And his name wasn't a bird, a rock, and all this other stuff. It was, the next thing it was made was a pyramid, the sky, and then it was, I forgot, what do you call that thing when ladies get pregnant? I forgot what the thing is inside of them that, well, whatever. It's a thing that deals with pregnancy and birth. So Khufu, he changed his name, the characters were changed, and it was written inside the pyramid. That was our clue. So what his name literally means, if you open it up, it means the birth of man is in the sky. That's what it actually means. So when I understood his name, that's when you can open the pyramid. And the pyramid takes us to the house of God. And in the movie, in the newest film, I don't know if anyone is familiar with the glorification of the Eucharist. The glorification of the Eucharist is an ancient painting. It's over 500 years old, and it's a mystery to everyone.
Okay, let's stop right there, okay, because that is a crucial thing that we need to address at length.
Okay.
So we'll do that right after the break, because I've got a whole lot to say about that, and what an extraordinary way to present it that you did in the film. So I don't want to give anything away, but I've got questions, and we will do that with Damon T. Berry right after this short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
You get a Zeepa. You get a Zeepa. You hear me?
What's the name when you snort? It's Zeepa. Zeepa. It's the thing we're craving for. It's Zeepa. Zeepa. You can't sleep all night. Zeepa. Zeepa. And wake up feeling right. It's Zeepa. Zeepa. Makes me love my husband more. 'Cause he no longer snores. Zeepa. Zeepa. It's Zeepa.
Zeepa's different than any other device because it actually works. A lot of these other devices, they just bring the jaw forward. That's it. However, the thing that makes Zeepa different, it stabilizes the tongue, basically, with this elastic band. But right here, Jimmy's telling you that this is a unique device. Go to Zeepa now, buy it, and stop the snoring. Get a Zeepa, ZYPPAH.com. Zeepa.com. That's ZYPPAH.com.
Oh, fall. My favorite time of year. Cooler temperatures and, well, let's be honest, layers. Lots and lots of layers. Look, I get it. We all have that favorite hoodie. Matter of fact, I've got a few favorite hoodies. You should wear yours. Enjoy it. I do. But I stay focused on my health year-round. And for me, I take Nature's Youth RSF from nature'syouth.com. Nature's Youth RSF from nature'syouth.com. I eat right, control my portion sizes, still maintain a commitment to regular fitness, and I get plenty of rest, and I take Nature's Youth RSF. It's okay to cover up your beach body for a few months, but don't just forget about it. Nature's Youth understands exactly what it means to provide top-quality health products, and Nature's Youth customers not only improve their health, they know they're also providing their body with the right nourishment to maintain peak performance levels and fight the aging process. So layer up and get started today with Nature's Youth RSF. nature'syouth.com. Simple to use, even simpler to order. Go to nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Damon T. Berry, talking about his latest production, which is The Black Knight Satellite, Invitation number 6. After the show tonight, go and check it out. We're going to lay it out for you. The dots are there, and then you need to go and watch it, and you'll totally get it and enjoy it. And before the break, Damon, you brought up Bonaventura Salimbini's painting, The Glorification of the Eucharist, which clearly shows a satellite, right? Clearly. And it was painted in 1600. Now, you started to make a couple of points about this. The painting is now up in Twitter. Everybody can go and look at it. But go ahead. What were you going to say about it?
Well, it's a 500-year-old fresco, and no one knew what it meant at the time. And here we have another example of here's 500 years ago, and a guy is clearly showing you this is a satellite. And not only is he showing you there's a satellite, he's also showing you what the cosmos looks like outside of the cosmos. And it's another piece of cognitive dissonance that someone who looks at it says this can't possibly be true. But it's there, staring you in the face. It's big as day. And it confirms something that we recently discovered. There is a Stargate. The Stargate has to do with the pyramid. The pyramid does take us to the house of God. And this painting that Mr. Salimbini created is unbelievable, because if you look at it, it will show you a satellite. It will show you what the cosmos looks like. It will even have a star constellation marker in there. And it will have two individuals that will shake away all doubt. In order to understand the Stargate, you have to understand what the pyramid looks like from above. And that is, it's a square, and it has a cross, dividing the four quarters. The pyramid is to represent the sun. So when you put a 360 circle around it, put a cross inside of it, and you turn the cross inside of the pyramid, it gives you directions, because the pyramid actually represents the sun. So when you put a cross on the sun and you turn it, it can tell you north, northwest, east, west, south, and give you varying degrees if you use it the correct way. And here it is 500 years ago, Mr. Salimbini painting this beautiful painting of Jesus and God the Father. They're both sitting next to each other. But if you look at the painting, it's astounding, because everyone knows Jesus has a halo behind him, and God always has a halo behind him. But in this painting, these are the clues. He's showing us where this Stargate is and what the pyramid creates. And if you look behind the head of God in this painting, God doesn't have a halo. Behind the head of God, there's a great pyramid, and it's right there behind his head, lit up. And behind Jesus, he doesn't have a halo either. He just has a cross. And when you put these two together, a cross on top of the pyramid, it gives you directions. And that directions show you how to navigate the cosmos. And it's astounding. It's unbelievable. And what makes it so astounding, it's 500 years ago. And the sad part is, if we can accept these 500-year-old people as equals, just as intelligent as we are, we could change our fate. We could change our future. We could change everything.
When you look at the painting in its entirety, right? You look at the whole thing. It's too easy to focus on, Jesus and God on the top, and the satellite and the antennas and the pyramid and so forth. But if you look at it, and these guys are in the sky with this satellite. And they are above, and there is some kind of communication device. And I'm not going out there on some crazy tangent here. You can see what clearly represents an antenna with electricity and signal being distributed out of it too as well. And I'm just looking at it just as a normal. If somebody asked me what is going on here, that's how I would describe it. It's not some crazy, conspiracy thought here. It's what the painting is. Exactly.
And the sad part about it is, even though you know it, even though you see it, even though you can show another, cognitive dissonance will tell you it's impossible.
Right,
This
right.
couldn't possibly be. It's 500 years ago.
Right.
That makes no sense. And then they'll just discount it and walk away from it.
The okay. I'm going to go off subject just for a second here. Just go with me, Damon.
I'm with you.
The other thing about this painting that messes people up is the flat earthers.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
You're
I know,
right.
Right.
That would create a problem.
It would create a problem, and this
Yes,
was
it
done.
would.
Yeah, this was done in 1600, and clearly way back when the round Earth was still being formed. I mean, the Greeks and other scientists and philosophers throughout the ages put it together that, and you have Magellan and certainly Columbus in the 1400s. But this was done in 1600. But it clearly shows the Earth being blue and round and represented as a satellite, which kills
Isn't
the
it
whole
amazing?
Yeah, kills the whole flat Earth thing. Any other flat earther wants to debate me, the glorification of the Eucharist is what I'm laying on the table.
Yeah, and you know what's so sad? During that time, people were saying exactly the Earth was flat. You could fall off of it.
Right.
And this is clearly showing you that was not the case.
Exactly. What do you? How do you think? What's your take on? And then we'll move on. How did this flat Earth thing in this last year in 2016 take off running? How today? How is it possible? Is it cognitive dissonance again playing itself out?
I think it's a little bit more creative than that. To be honest, I believe it's entertainment. And the reason I'm saying it's entertainment for everybody who believes in flat Earth, I saw a great documentary on PBS that was tackling the flat Earth problem. And in order to understand the flat Earth, if it was true, they wanted to prove whether it was flat or not. So they had a man stand on just any old place on the land, and then they took a picture of the measurement. He had a long pole showing how high he was from the ground. And it probably said 35 inches or something like that. So he marked it. Then they told him to go down about 2 miles down the road. He went 2 miles down the road. Give us your measurement. It was 3 inches lower. So then they tell him, go down 3 inches, go down 5 more miles. He goes down 5 more miles. It was 2 inches lower again. So then they started doing this in every continent, and even with water. And in a distance, at a distance, the measurement is always 2 or 3 inches lower, or if you're looking at water, it's 2 or 3 feet lower. So when they calculate all these lower numbers, it comes up to 360. It's clearly a circle. So after I saw that documentary, I was completely out of the flat Earth camp. But I thought it was interesting. But once you can clearly measure how round the Earth is, then it takes the whole flat Earth thing out.
Yeah, you know what kills it for any flat earther is when they talk about, well, it's telescopes have a curved lens, so when you see something off in the distance, it's flat, but it's actually curved. I'm like, okay, so what you're saying is your head is not round then. Because if I'm looking at your head 15 miles away in a telescope and it's round, when you get close to me, you're going to have a blockhead, right? Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know if you've ever delved into any of the new science. There's tons of creative, entertaining things you can do with science. There are parallel galaxies. There are string theories. There are several different types of ideas of what could be true. And that's really what it is. It's to me, it's truly like a cat playing with a ball of string. You're just kicking it around and throwing it around, looking at all the strange things you can do, but there's no conclusive evidence that any of it is true.
Where do you think Salimbini got his knowledge from to get it into this painting?
I believe that Salimbini was one of the ones who saw or knew what happened at the end of the world. And like I was telling you before, it's I don't know if you've ever heard of this. I forgot what it's called. It's a mechanical device that was found in a cave, and it plots all of the movement of the stars. And I can't remember what it's called.
You're talking about the Antikythera mechanism.
That's it.
Right. That was actually found in the ocean off of the island of Antikythera. Sponge diver found it, oddly enough.
Yes. And it's so old that they can hardly even date it in the correct era, but it's perfect. It shows you how all the stars, all the planets, everything moves. So if they know that this knowledge existed hundreds, thousands of years ago, how can we then discount what they're saying? Because someone's leaving these clues on our earth for us to find them.
Certainly.
That's what I believe.
Certainly. Which also takes me back to, let's jump back a little bit here with the cave paintings and the way that, man, I swear I can't look at this stuff the same way now because of you. The satellite images and how they look like they were shot from a satellite, and this is actually topography and very distant imaging that obviously can't be done with your feet on terra firma, that these images come from somewhere else. I think that's extraordinary. And how did you first formulate this idea?
I used to work, believe it or not, for the government at one time, and I dealt with a lot of satellite imagery. You can determine the depth and perception of the photos based on how clear it is or how, vegetation, land, and all these kinds of things. It's one thing that I remembered when I worked for there. And when you look at a cave painting, it is almost identical. The choice of where they choose to paint, the color of rock they choose, all of that is identical to satellite imagery. And when I saw it, I was like, this can't be a coincidence. And then the more I started looking into to cave paintings, if you can put a satellite image of terrain next to a cave painting, they're identical. They're almost the exact same picture. And the one thing that it's showing me is they had satellites. They had airplanes. They had everything that we have in this world. They have the exact same thing we have. And these cave paintings are clues. And I feel sorry for the individual who left them, because at this point they must realize, hey, you did this to us, huh?
Right.
They are clues left to our world so that we can figure it out before our end comes. And I think that's really what it's about.
Yeah, when you look at modern satellite images and you look at the shadowing and you look at the effects and then you look at the topography, whatever you want to choose, and you go back to these cave paintings and you take another look, something is going on here. They had a perspective to create this. Somebody was showing them something. That's the only way. That's the only explanation for it. So they saw it and then they turn around and replicated it. I don't know which other way to go with this.
Well, the one thing that I can say of a surety is it is a cycle. The Mayans were better at it than anyone I've ever seen. They never looked at time as linear like we do.
Right.
They never looked at time in a straight line. They saw everything as a cycle, a circle. Everything goes around and comes around. And the one thing that they did, they told everyone about the end of the world. So if you look in the Mayan Popol Vuh, it'll tell you how the world's going to end. And everything that they're laying out in there is correct. And I know in 2012 we thought, well, the Mayans said the world will be over. That's not what they said. They said in 2012 it ushers in a new time for man. The end of the old time is gone. A new time of enlightenment, a new time of understanding, a time when we come to understand the purpose of why we're here. And the one thing that the Mayans did, we don't have all of their evidence, but Catholic priests, once they saw what they had written in there, they destroyed all their works and said it was the work of the devil. And one of the most amazing things about what they did would come back to haunt them 1,000 years later, because the codices that they threw away of the Mayans tells what happens at the end of the world. There are certain things and changes that happen in our society before it ends. And one of those things the Mayans prophesied was the murdering of religious people, the murdering of high leaders, high religious leaders. The end of the Word of God is what the Mayans called it. And because the Mayans said this in their word, all the Catholic priests threw it away. They said it was the work of the devil. But it wouldn't be, this word would be justified 1,000 years later, because the word would come back to the Catholic priests, only not from Mayans, and it would be the exact same word. If you're familiar with the miracle of Fatima, it's a miracle that happened some years ago. The Virgin Mary appeared to 3 children. The Virgin Mary talked to these 3 children, and she gave them a secret that she told, you cannot tell anyone. And when they told the Catholic priests of the Virgin Mary, these 3 individuals were beatified, they were worshipped, and they didn't reveal the secret. But one of them revealed the secret right before she died. And the secret she revealed was the exact same thing the Mayans said. They said a time will come when popes will be killed, when those who are dead will rise up against the religious. So even though they destroyed this word 1,000 years ago, the Catholic priest did, here it is 1,000 years later, the same word is coming in Italy from their own people. So there's something about the cycle of how we live and how we die that happens all the time in every civilization.
Do you think there'll be a time when, like right now, everybody will go back to Egypt or to the Mayans when we talk about ancient high tech and the knowledge that they had. Do you think that there will be a time in the future where they look back to us and say, hey, they actually had technology back then. There was a civilization that had all of it. And in the future, they will actually be saying, come on, man, there was nothing back. We are the originators, just like we're doing it now. And like the Egyptians probably did it and another generation before them. Do you think there will actually be a time like that in the future?
I do think there will be a time, if history is any guide,
right?
It's an assurity. The thing that makes me so frightened is there's not enough of us who are accepting the reality of what was. There's just not enough of us, and in order to change our world, it takes all of us. It can't just be a few of us, because we're the fringe people. We're the people on the outside.
Right.
At some point, it has to be all of us waking up and saying, this has to do with our future. We have to change.
And it's really funny. We are kind of like the Magellans of our generation.
Yes.
Yes. If you look at it in those terms, man, because there were guys on Magellan's boat going, turn this thing around. Turn this thing around, man. You're crazy. You're out of your mind. And when we go back, you're going to prison, right? It had to have been just like that. And he was the fringe guy, that kept going and kept going until,
But let me ask you something. Out of all the things that you saw in the glorification of the Eucharist, the painting,
right?
How can you get somebody to understand you?
You can't.
You can't.
No, you can't. You can't. And look, it's baby steps, Damon. You're taking them every day. I'm taking them every day, and just one mind at a time. That's the way that I look at it. Well, check this out. A couple of weeks ago, man, we're up against a break. Let me get this thought out. A couple of weeks ago, which was before you released Black Knight, okay? I actually asked my audience, and you can do this yourself. You can ask anybody that listens to this show. I literally said that, is it time for us to leave this planet? Have we been locked up in one room with each other for too long, right? Are we at, are we just so frustrated that the only thing that we can do to change our focus, to stop hating each other, to just get one mind focused on something, is maybe it's time for us to go? And is it, are we at that point right now?
We are at that point. We're past that point. Like I said,
right.
5,125 years for our civilization was 5 years ago.
Right.
All the other civilizations that came before us, they trusted the knowledge of the Stargate. They trusted to enter into it. They trusted it, and they did it, and they came back. And there's one caveat to making this trip. The ones that come back from this trip that they take, there is a prize. And the prize is found in Sumeria. The first ones that came back in Sumeria, the first guy that came back lived for 47,000 years. The next one that came back lived for 35,000 years. The next one that came back lived for 37,000 years. So the caveat is there's something that they teach all over the world that we think is a mystery, but the Sumerian text is telling us it's true. And that is, there is somewhere in the cosmos that contains what we call the fountain of life.
Right. Do you think that it's possible if we all just become one hive mind? I mean, the earth, right? And then we realize that we are earthlings. We are not Christians and Catholics and Muslims and Buddhists and white, black, yellow, green, red, and that we all hate each other. That if we just stop for a second and realize there's a greater goal out there, that we would actually lay down arms and become brothers and sisters. Is it possible for us to get there?
Have you been reading the Mayan writings?
I read what I can.
That's exactly what they're saying. That's the reason, from what they're saying. The reason for the end of the Word of God and religion, they say because it is a time for us to unite. That's what the whole thing was about. They said it's a time for us to unite. They say that religion divides us. It keeps us separate. There's something that comes on our earth in the end that will require all of us to be as one human beings in order to survive. That's what their writings were telling us. And you just said it perfectly. I don't know if you were reading it, but that's exactly what it says. So this cycle is supposed to happen in what's called a Baktun. The new Baktun is 20-year period, and we're in that right now. But that's why they say it's supposed to come for the end of religion, the end of the Word of God, because we all must unite. We must be one people if we're going to survive.
Do you, when you walk down the street and you're looking at people, do you see color? I don't. I'm absent of color when I see people. Are you like that too as well?
Not really. I do see people, and I recognize that everybody's different. I accept you as who you are. I understand that, yes, we are different people, different colors, but I accept everyone as they are, no matter what their beliefs are, disagreements, anything like that. I accept everybody as my brother and as my sister. That's whether they accept me in return. That's always a different thing, but I accept everybody as they are. And the one thing that I have learned more than anything else that really, really frightens me about this knowledge is knowing that if we can't get all of us on board, we're going to be like the last one that was here.
Right.
And I'm hoping that's not the case.
Right. We're going to head to a break. So here's a fun question for you, and then we'll come back and pick this up. And I'm going to give you the heads up on this. We're going to talk GMOs. And the audience is going, what? No, we're doing Damon's version of GMOs when we come back. Okay, so now you're in Texas, right?
Yes.
Nice starship comes down and lands in your front yard. And a dude comes off and says, Damon, let's go. Do you get on it?
That's a hard one. I don't think I'd jump right on it because I'd really like to tell everybody what's going to happen. Can you give me a little advance notice? I can at least talk to everybody, then go. If they give me that option, I'll like that better. But for me, and this is just for me, all these cave paintings that we're seeing, all these pyramids, all these Mayan hieroglyphs, these were created by people who were told not to tell us. They gave their lives so that we would know.
Right.
The guy that walked around and dropped a hammer 100 million years ago,
right?
He put his life on the line.
Right.
The other guy that purposely left his footprints in the sand 100 million years ago, and he's got shoes on.
Right.
They did a lot of this on purpose so that we would understand.
Right.
The painter Salimbeni, who painted this satellite, clearly a satellite, then shows what the cosmos looks like from outside of it. I mean, these people put their lives on the line so that we would understand. And I would rather be one of those people.
Really?
Than the guy who just gets to leave.
Man, no. Hey, just as long as I can take my wife, I'm out of here, man, on the first bus smoking. I'm out of here. Okay.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. I won't judge you for that.
Our guest, Damon T. Berry. We're talking about his latest production, The Black Knight Satellite, Invitation Number 6. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Damon right after this. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
You've probably heard about all the great benefits of goat milk soap, but did you know some companies take shortcuts? At Old New England Soap, we make our organic goat's milk soap using 36% goat's milk. That's 17% more than most others. Our bars are larger, so they last longer, producing lots of lather packed with vitamins. And our soap is a natural moisturizer that smooths dry and damaged skin. Order online at oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. You've tried the rest. Now try the best. oldnesoap.com.
Water-based soaps on supermarket shelves use harsh chemical acids to break down dead skin cells. And that's just not good for you. At Old New England Soap, our soaps are made without chemical ingredients, contain no alcohol or petroleum products, and use 85% organic materials and carry the USDA's organic certification. Try some today. Go to oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. oldnesoap.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
If you have sciatica, then you know all about the crippling pain that travels from your lower back down your leg when a spasm occurs. It's brutal. In fact, it's enough to take your breath away. Dr. Zhang's Sciatica Nerve Cream helps relieve persistent, shooting pains associated with the sciatic nerve in the lower back and legs. This natural, homeopathic cream contains the most potent ingredients to soothe even the most excruciating pain associated with sciatica. Stop the pain now. Ask for Dr. Zhang's Sciatica Nerve Cream at your local health food store or go online to trasknutrition.com.
Would you like relief from muscle pain, headaches, and discomfort to sleep better, have more energy during the day, and just feel naturally amazing? Fibromalic can help. Its blend of malic acid and magnesium can provide pain relief and comfort for those who experience fibromyalgia. It helps your body absorb more oxygen, and it works quickly for a significant reduction in pain within 48 hours, all without a prescription. Ask for Fibromalic at health and vitamin shops or shop fibromalic.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Damon T. We're talking about his latest film, which is The Black Knight Satellite, Invitation Number 6. After the show tonight, go and watch it, check it out, and get a hold of Damon and let him know how great it is, because it's very powerful. And now, Damon, you said something in the film that I thought was so prolific and so strong. I actually, I'm going to quote you here. I wish I could do it in your voice, but I can't. and it's this. You said, within every prehistoric painting, every ancient stone, and within every ancient carving is a glorious story, a powerful wisdom that is too good for us. There is their message is so old, so broken, and so tired that there is barely life left in them. Explain.
Everything that the ancient people created were created by technological beings, human beings that were just like us. They had everything that we have today: televisions, automobiles, cell phones, Bluetooth. They had everything we have today. And before they died, before they knew, the reason that the Mayans say that 2012 was the end, because after 2012, we come into an age of enlightenment, a state where we understand we are not the top of the food chain. We are not the alpha species. We are not the controller of the destiny of our earth. It's a point where we come to understand what our purpose really is. So the one thing that every one of these people did, and they're so much better than us. That's why I tell you that, and people get angry from me for saying that, but they were better than us. They were actually too good for us. Because in our world, if a great word should come down and alien spacecraft are all around, they tell us, you have 10 years left. You will all be wiped out, and we will start the earth anew. So make peace with your people, or whatever. In our world, what we would do, we'd gather with our families. We'd pray with our families. We'd spend every waking minute with our families. We'd pray, and we'd go to our worshipers, and we'd constantly give obedience to God, and we'd constantly do that until our end came. The people that came before us, they were better than us. They were more beautiful than we are. Because when they found out their end was coming, they didn't pray with their families. They didn't stay with their families. They got a chisel.
Right.
And started writing what they knew in rock. Others got paint and started going into caves to paint. I mean, they started doing everything they can to give a clue for the next human beings that come here. And they made this stuff for us. Everything, all these ancient structures that we see that are monstrosities, 50 tons, 80 feet high, that's for us. All these great pyramids, that wasn't for them. That was for us. And because they thought of us more than themselves, that makes them more beautiful than us. And what's so sad is these big carvings, they're dwindling now. Weather is beating them down. The secrets that they hold, they're dying. Because we won't look at them. They're just dumb people to us. They're savages. They're nothing like we are. And we dismiss them as nothing. And that's what's so sad.
Why is it that we, and I'm being serious here, why is it that we dismiss it so easily now? Is it because the message is all over the place and we hear it all the time and we're acclimated to it? Is that the reason why we just don't want to snap to attention and maybe consider something?
I think you are 100% correct, because we've had a couple of instances where we could get these films on a national network to present the knowledge of the Forever Time on a national network, a film series that everybody could watch. But one of the things that they want us to do in order to give these rights away is we give all of our creative rights to the producers.
Right.
They get to tell us how it's supposed to go. We lose all creative control. And that's one of the reasons we won't do it, because all the shows that give us information, they're all saying the exact same thing. Every show is saying what another show is saying or another guy is saying, and the message is too powerful to get lost with a common everyday belief. And it's just like what you said. I mean, people just won't accept it. And the sad part about where we are in life is if for example, we could talk about Salimbeni's painting. We can clearly show there's a great pyramid behind God, and there's a cross behind Jesus, and this is a Stargate, or this is the globe, or this is a satellite. But if that person that you're talking to hasn't heard 3 other guys say the same thing, then it can't be true. You know what I mean? So we're in a situation now with the internet. If I didn't see it on the internet, it can't be true.
Right.
If I didn't see it on these other shows and they're not saying this, it can't be true. So it's just like what you're saying. That's what we're facing today. It's just no matter what you tell them, there are so many ways that people can justify what they believe that it's really sad.
Somebody just posted, Idea just tweeted out, right as you said that, this question, so I have to do it. He says, does Damon have any further thoughts on crosses inside of halos? And I know that you do, so there's a softball. There's a softball for you.
All right. Well, there's something about the cross and the halo. And the cross behind Jesus' head does not mean crucifixion, and it does not mean Christianity. The cross behind his head is a sign of a star. It's a stargate. It's what allows you to see the Father. It's what allows you to see God. That's why the painting that Salimbeni created has the cross and the pyramid, because both of them together create directions. And what's so beautiful about the painting is, I can't give too much of it away, but there are celestial markers that make sure that you understand that's what it's for. Now, there's something else, and I would ask you to Google it because you're going to be amazed. You can look at any picture of Jesus with the cross behind him and look at the cross, look at how there's a diamond shape in the cross, and you'll say, okay, that's artistic. But then go online and Google first Hubble image of a star, and it's identical to what you find behind Jesus. It's identical. And the reason the star is so important is because human beings, our future is in the sky, is in the stars. It's not on Earth. We're supposed to leave. And what we have to start beginning to understand, this is why the symbol is so important. The sun is so important. A sun is a star. That's why it's so important. Because we have to get out of manufacturing and creating space vehicles if we are to be successful. We cannot create space vehicles at all. The Egyptians are telling us we don't need a spaceship. We need a starship. And if we can create a starship, the universe is unlimited. And the difference between a spaceship and a spaceship allows you to sit above the Earth. It allows you to maybe go to Mars, but that's it. A starship is a ship that is created that has so much power of shielding that it is able to endure high heat temperatures. A starship doesn't just go to Mars. A starship can enter a star. It can enter the sun. It can take you to other parts of the cosmos because the ship is able to absorb heat. So that's what we need more. Starship, not spaceship.
I'm in a real holy crap moment here. I'm looking at Hubble's first image of a star, right?
You see it?
Dude, that'll mess with your head. That's pretty crazy.
Amazing, isn't it?
That's wow.
Yeah, so the message that they're showing us is if you want to see God, if you want to see Jesus, enter this star, it takes you there.
I mean, it's exact.
It's exact.
Wow. That's pretty trippy, Damon. Well
It
done.
is.
Well done. Well done.
It is.
Man, I'm going to try to get this up into Twitter as soon as I can so everybody can kind of, just like I just did.
Jimmy, they're telling us to leave the earth. And at some point, we've got to stop talking and do it.
Unbelievable. Okay, I you know what? Just give me a second here. Just let me get this up here as quick as I can, so everybody can see what I am seeing here. Boom, the first image, and this is the power of radio, it being live. But boom. All right, there it is. Now watch this fly all over Twitter. Here's 2,000 tweets right now. That's pretty trippy, man.
It is.
Okay, it's off and running. There it goes. Click, click, click. Okay, GMOs. Now we link GMOs with our mind because of media and everything else. Well, and it's okay too with food. But you have a totally different take on what a GMO is, and I'm just going to hand that off to you.
Well, a GMO, for everyone who's not understanding what a GMO is, or a GMO is just a lab process where genes from one species' DNA are taken, and then they're artificially inserted to the genes of another plant, animal, or any foreign object like that. So you're really taking the genes of one thing and you're adding it to the genes of another. And GMOs are very popular, especially in the United States, because we have no regulation that stops it. But generally, most of the food that you're eating today is genetically modified, GMOs, genetically modified organism. We're taking the DNA of certain types of corn, adding it to corn to ensure that the corn grows stronger or more prosperous. It gives us a higher yield. So the GMOs are all throughout our lives. So we're eating the corns, the grains, the wheats, and all these things we're eating. But they're now doing it to animals, cows, sheep, chickens, fish. They're doing it to everything.
Right.
So GMOs is literally just changing the DNA of one object to another, and then they grow up. They look normal. They're not said to hurt us, but they're genetically modified. And in this episode of Invitation Number 6, The Knowledge of the Forever Time, the Black Knight Satellite, we're showing you why the Black Knight is above our Earth, because no one's ever asked the question, why would a satellite be above our Earth? A satellite above your Earth only does one thing. It communicates. That's all a satellite is to do, is to communicate. So because there's a satellite hovering above our world, and we know that a satellite does one thing, communicate, the next question is, who are they communicating to? So this alien satellite that's 50,000 years old is circling our Earth, and it's communicating with someone on the ground. And all of us always wonder, if the aliens are so sophisticated, they're so this and that, why don't they just show themselves? And the film is showing you aliens are here now. And in 1920s, the 1930s, this alien satellite, before we invented a satellite, was communicating with these aliens on our Earth. But these aliens are actually GMOs, genetically modified organisms in the appearance of human beings. And what this film will show you is individuals from 1920 walking around talking on a cell phone. They'll show you individuals from 1930 walking around talking on a cell phone. And this is during a time where satellites couldn't provide this communication, and just the fact that you're seeing these individuals talking on a telephone, a cell phone, will conclusively deduce that there is a satellite somewhere in the skies. And a genetically modified organism looks just like you and I. So alien DNA mixed in with human DNA looks like anyone that you've ever seen, and you'd never be able to notice the difference. So Invitation Number 6, The Knowledge of the Forever Time. Trying not to give too much of it away, but I can't help it.
What how can we spot a GMO human?
That I have not found an answer to.
Right.
But the one thing I began thinking about, though, is maybe that's the reason our history is always wrong. Maybe that's the reason that everything we've been taught about our world is always wrong. GMOs. The great explorer that we thought was just some regular explorer, his sole purpose is disinformation, to lead us away from the truth. That's the only thing that I could come up with, because it's just too much of our history that isn't true.
Well,
the GMO has one purpose, to make sure we don't understand.
Right. And I speak of oral tradition all the time on this show, the game of telephone, right, that we played as kids. But why can't we depend on it, and especially if it's all that we've got?
Oral tradition will never survive. Oral tradition never is the truth. Oral tradition is never true. And the reason is because any human being who sees what happens at the end of the world and survives, they're taken.
Right.
Any human being who sees what happens and what comes,
gone.
They all of a sudden vanish.
Right.
So once they vanish, their family doesn't know what happens. So then they start creating a tale of what happened. Like, for example, if you look at the Hopi Indian, they have several rock carvings, and they will tell you this means this and this means that. None of it is true. And the reason we know it's not true because we understand what all the carvings around the world are saying. So, for example, the Aborigine is a painting clearly showing a black hole, but to them, they're people from space, so that's what they're telling us. And the people who live on Easter Island will tell us stories of the Rapa Nui, of how these structures, Moai came there, and none of it's true. And the reason none of it's true is because the ones who knew what happened, they were taken. The rest of us just create a story that we tell from generation to generation, but it has no truth in it whatsoever.
Your Bluetooth Mayan images really grabbed me, and you and I were talking about this earlier tonight, and I turned around and immediately grabbed those and posted them to get a feel from everyone out there on what they were seeing on first glance, right? What is it that you're seeing here? Is it just me? Take a look at these, and what do you think? And I posted them to get some comments. How did your mind change once you saw those too as well, just like mine? Because I think it's dramatic and it's very in your face, right? And when you saw those clues, how did it grab you, and how did it change you?
It believe it or not, it grabbed me 3 years ago when I understood what the pyramid was for. It changed me completely. And the difference between me and everyone else and every other archaeologist or lecturer, I see technological people. I see people who are smarter than we are, whereas everyone else sees people who are dumber than we are. Everyone else sees, they did this with logs and rope and all this, but there's too much evidence that shows they were supremely intelligent. And there's an opening of knowledge that once you open it, it just floods in. For example, everyone teaches all over the world that 4000 BC, the worlds were separated by oceans and there was no contact between the continents.
Right.
And then everywhere on the continents, they have the exact same message, the same writings, the same teachings. And then there's evidence that there's space flight, but they didn't call it, airline flight. They called it a serpent with wings. And all of the serpents with wings that are depicted are always metal. So there's this great knowledge that tells us the world was here before us. And what should really give you pause as a discoverer of anything is knowing that for 5,000 years we have no knowledge how we got here. We have no knowledge. And there's something else that's even more disturbing. In the world that came before ours, there obviously was a war, because there's scientific evidence that show the Caucasian DNA is completely brand new. It's no link with any other. And they say it started somewhere around 4,500 BC. There's completely new DNA, which means there's a whole new group of people that came to this earth. And this knowledge tells you that people get taken, new people come.
The communication that was happening back in the 20s and 30s, back to the satellite, those transmissions certainly were for a reason. You know, they have arrived. Okay, this is where they are at now. We're on the brink of this. We're on the brink of this. But surely we know where those transmissions were going to. You bring up Cygnus a lot. Do you think that the government knows about where these communications are going to out there in the cosmos?
I do. They have to. The reason I think they know it is because NASA is always blocking feed whenever anything shows up that gives us a clue that there's something out there.
Right.
So that lets me know. But it also gives me pause and concern because the government knows something that all of us don't, and it's not good. Because NASA's number one concern isn't going to Mars. It's not exploring space at all. Its number one concern is finding another planet to live on. And that gives me concern.
It certainly is obvious, right? They're not hiding it.
No, they're not. They're not. That's their number one concern, finding another Earth, a place to live on. And that's telling me that there's something out there, or something that they know of, that is very, very detrimental to the survival of human beings.
Is there, and I want to thank you in advance before we run out of time, excellent conversation tonight. I expected it, but it went way beyond. We have lost sight of our inner self. And the distractions that we have, which are cell phones and tablets and computers and the internet and satellite TV and smart refrigerators, have all pulled us off of ourselves. The ancients certainly knew how to find the inner self and how to communicate and understand what that is about. How can we get back to us? How do we get back to knowing what our brain and our emotions are about? Because it's certainly not about going to work tomorrow so you can pay your taxes. And that's the distraction, right? How do we get back? How do we get back to us?
That is a very good question, and I'm not sure that I have an answer to that. The only thing that I know is the one thing that always gets us back to understand who we are and what we are is usually something that threatens our end. And it makes us disconnect. It shakes us out of this stasis of technological and entertainment and this kind of thing to where we realize, hey, this is about life. There has to be either something wonderful or something threatening that will shake us out of this comatose state that we are all in. And I agree with you on every word you're saying, because if there were more of us who thought like you do, we would have the answers we need. We could change the world. We could change the direction of where we're going. And eventually, it's going to be something terrible, because in every world, before every world ends, electricity goes blank. So there is a time in our future where internet goes by. And I think that's when we'll start understanding that we need to look at ourselves.
I just got a couple of posts and a couple of texts just came in saying, you've got to keep Damon on for a little longer. Don't let this end. Can I keep you for another 10 minutes?
Anytime.
Okay.
Anytime.
You hang on right there. Let's do a break right here and make everybody happy before they all freak out. They're like, oh, no, it's the end of the show. All right, we'll do a little overtime with Damon. And actually, when we come back, there's a couple of things where I wanted to go, and it'll give me an opportunity to go there. So we'll do that when we come back. Our guest tonight, Damon T. Barry. We're talking about his new movie, The Black Knight Satellite, Invitation number 6. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Damon right after this. Stay with us.
Listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. Best thing I ever got in my. It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Call now, 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code TSL.
Would odors, mold, and mildew describe your basement or crawl space? It doesn't have to be that way. Transform them into a fresh, healthy, usable one with the technologically advanced Wave moisture control units. The computerized operation maximizes moisture control and also expels harmful radon, combustion gases, and numerous other pollutants. Dehumidifiers are old technology that do nothing for air quality and waste energy. Wave units are intelligent, self-monitoring, do not need maintenance, and will save you hundreds in electricity. Wave units are still running effectively over 15 years. They've been tested and installed in public and military housing and by property managers nationwide. Buy a unit now, and if your home is not fresher and drier, you can return it for a full refund for up to 12 months. What have you got to lose? Call now. 1-888-618-WAVE. 1-888-618-WAVE. Or visit mydryhome.com. That's mydryhome.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to JimmyChurchRadio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Teppy.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. A little bit of overtime with Damon T. Barry. All of his links are over at JimmyChurchRadio.com, his YouTube channel, his Facebook page. You can go and watch episodes 1 through 6 right now. Damon, Brandon in Phoenix posted this question, and he says, is there one type of figure like, say, Neo in The Matrix that bears the burden of knowledge in each 5,125-year civilization cycle?
I don't know that is really true, but I believe that there is some archaeological evidence that supports it. The one thing that I've learned from all of the hieroglyphics that I've read from all the different cultures, they all have the same teacher. All of them have the same teacher. The only thing that makes the hieroglyphic different is cultural styles. But the same hieroglyphic you find in Egypt is the exact same one you find in Sumeria. It's actually the exact same one you find with the Mayans. The only difference is it's cultural styling. But the one thing that they all have in common is there's one individual who teaches someone or selects someone of that people. And in the hieroglyphics, once they teach that person and he has the knowledge of the cosmos, he has the knowledge of the gods in heaven, he has the knowledge how to transfer his knowledge to others so that they can create and reach the Stargate, that individual is created in all hieroglyphics after that as a giant. So in every hieroglyphic that you find, there's a regular guy standing there, and there's this real big giant one.
Right.
The giant one is the one who has the God knowledge. He has the knowledge of the heavens. He has the knowledge of the Stargate. He has the knowledge of how to do all things. So they're seen as a giant. And in every culture, whoever teaches them, once they teach them, in all the figurines and all the writings of them, because you'll show what they look like when they're being taught. They're just sitting there learning. The next hieroglyphic, they'll be giants over everybody else. So the reason that the Egyptians and all these people have these great giants is because they had God knowledge. They were bigger than man. And the one thing that they did, which was different than us, they didn't share it. They kept it. The one who had the knowledge was God. And so it was very few that actually had the knowledge. So Neo's character is so that everybody knows. But in the ancient days, it was protected. Knowledge was protected and very holy and held it, very, very close to the individual that had it.
How many alien races have visited Earth or are visiting now? We get so many different numbers and conflicting stories about this. But what's your best guesstimate?
That I don't even have a guess on that. I mean, I like you have read several different conclusions on that topic, but myself, I stick with what they carved in stone rather than what they put on paper. And if it's not carved in stone somewhere, then I don't really have an opinion on it, because I trust the guy that got a chisel more than the guy that got a pen. And the one thing that I've learned from those who came before us is I trust those who came before me more than he who stands before me. And because of that, I trust what they say. And I've only seen two different types of aliens in ancient carvings, and that's all I know about.
The evidence that has been left behind for us with all of these megalithic structures around the world, we see the similarities in construction. We see the intention. We see the astronomy involved with all of this. Do you think that all of the knowledge that is transcontinental, I mean, it's around the world and cross cultures, came from the same source?
Yes. There was one source of the knowledge that came, and the knowledge is important because the one thing that I do know of whatever happens on this earth, whatever pulls mankind, whatever pulls flesh from this earth, because that's what the archaeologists are showing. I mean, archaeology is showing us something comes that pulls flesh from the earth. It just literally rips us from the soil. Whatever pulls man from the earth, the ancients did something very important. They created tons and tons and tons of stone, so that if an individual is underneath that stone shelter, they would be safe. And the one thing that I know about the end is they're better than us, and in the sense that they know what we don't know. and we won't listen to them for some reason. We're that arrogant. They know what we don't know. We rather trust the guy who we see on television or a guy that we read in a magazine. We trust him more than those who came before us. But the one thing the ancients can tell us that no human today can, they know what happens at the end of the earth. They know what happens when everybody's gone. They know what happens at the onset of an ice age. They've experienced all of that. None of us have. But we won't listen to them. We listen to who we find in our world today, and that's what is the most disturbing thing about it.
Yeah, certainly. And we look at the GMOs that have happened over time. Certainly there was one we can all pinpoint at 150,000 years ago where we radically changed overnight, the missing link. And then we have a couple of other stages that happened right through modern times where we have these radical jumps in technology, in vision, that were extraordinary leaps. That knowledge was given to us from somewhere, and the giving us that knowledge. Here we are today, where we are. They've given us something. What is it next that we need to take advantage of?
We need to take advantage and act. That's the one thing we haven't done.
Right.
We're not acting on the knowledge. We like to talk about it. We like to debate about it. We like to have discussions about it. We don't act on it. And every people that came before us within 5,125 years, they entered into the sun or wherever that hole is near it,
right,
and they successfully came back. All the ancient alien stories that we hear are individuals in spacesuits coming back.
Right.
Every ancient thing that you see of a helmet or a spacesuit is an individual that came back to our Earth. So they've successfully done it. We're the only ones who are past the time to achieve it, and we're still talking about it.
Right.
And we haven't convinced enough people that it's even important enough to try.
Wow.
So we are really on the slow end in comparison to those who came before us.
Extraordinary work that you're doing. What's next? I mean, how do you top the first 6?
I don't know. To be honest with you, Jimmy, I really wanted to just take off for a while and not do anything for a while and just relax and unwind, because this one right here was really a lot of work. It took a lot out of me. But the whole goal is to get the information out there, because back in the old days, when someone made a big discovery, they didn't write a book. They just published a paper and put it in the newspaper. Right. So this is the way I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to just publish it and get it out there for as many people to see as they can. And then we'll work on the next one. The next one is probably going to be the hardest one to do, because it's dealing with the alien, what the alien actually is, what it actually looks like, where it actually comes from. And that one's going to be a lot of work too. So I think I'll just take off for a couple of months and then get back on it.
Thank you so much, Damon, for all that you do. And if you need us, you know where we are. We're here. We support you. Anything that you need, just let us know, Damon. Thank you so much. And listen, have a great, safe new year. 2017 is going to be a rough ride, man. Let's do this together.
Jimmy, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be on your show, and I hope to be able to return the favor to you someday.
You got it. Damon T. Berry, everybody. His links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Very simple. All of you, go and watch The Knowledge of the Forever Time, 1 through 6. It's a good one. And remember the 2 black holes. Thank you so much, Damon, and I'll talk to you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Damon T. Berry. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I'll be right back. You know what? I'll open up the phone lines, too, as well. 323-825-5045. I'll be right back. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. It's a holiday season with hope in the air. Things to look forward to and no time for despair. Health can be a challenge, and so can the mail. So Get the Tea wants to help you by giving you a sale. Buy 2 months of Super Tea and get 1 month for free. No limit. That's buy 2 months of Super Tea and get 1 month free. That's a savings of $35. Where? GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Scroll down on the front page and find the buy 2, get 1 free ad. Click it and save. Orders over $100 get free shipping. Send the gift of life. Change tea at GetTheTea.com. We have many non-GMO organic supplements just waiting for you. This holiday season, enjoy health and Thanksgiving with GetTheTea.com. Want to call us? 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. GetTheTea.com is a proud sponsor of doing what's right. That's GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station where the Fade or Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You know, I've said this before about Damon, and I need you to understand where I'm coming from. We all need to listen. Every idea needs to be on the table. None of us can afford to close our minds down. You cannot do that. There is so much that happens in our circle of fringe and lost history and the thought of conspiracies and the man that nobody can afford to say, I'm right. Don't listen to anybody else. I do not do that. I don't. And that's what we have to do here. And what happened to me the first time that I had watched one of Damon's productions, I went, you know, this is coming from somewhere else. And this is good. We need to listen to this too as well, because it's all part of the puzzle. It's just, you know, we're putting everything together. And then you go and watch another one and watch his stuff in order. And then you just get another point of reference. And it's very important for all of us to continue to do that. And that's exactly what he does. I am serious. And I said this from the word go the first time he was on the show. that I don't know where this is coming from. It is really, really, really well done. And we hear so many things over and over again, which is fine. But when something fresh comes along, we have to accept it, listen to it. And it's just another piece. That's all it is in the collective mind. All right? That's my, oh man, he does it so well. So well. I was so excited with Black Knight Satellite, and it's put together correctly, man. It really is. It's another piece of the puzzle. And none of us know. We will never have all of the answers, man, until the real contact and disclosure is made. And the bona fide situation. Right? So until then, nobody. There are going to be some people out there that are going to be a little bit embarrassed. There are going to be some people out there that go, ha, I was right all along. I told you. I knew it. But until then, we collect information. That's what this show does. Damon T. Barry is one of the best. So do go to his YouTube channel. Check it out. There is so much to watch and listen. Okay? And with that, I've got some news that you know nothing about. Check this out. I told you, for the rest of the year, I'm on strict orders from Rita. Nothing but the good stuff. And here is this. There was a Christmas service pamphlet from a Sri Lankan church that has went viral after it mistakenly, and again, I'm not making this up, printed Tupac's Hail Mary lyrics instead of the words to the 1,000-year-old prayer that includes passages from the Gospel of Luke. Instead, Colombo churchgoers at Joy to the World 2016, one of Sri Lanka's largest carol services, were surprised to see the lines like, and I'm not kidding, and you know the Tupac stuff I'm talking about, like this line here, revenge is like the sweetest joy next to getting put, U-S-S-Y. Yeah. And Illuminati all through your body. The blows like a 12-gauge shotty. We're in the pamphlet. And they're reading this, and they are tripping out. I'm talking about heart attacks, right? And to be fair, look, both the prayer and the Tupac song ask for the intercession of Mary, Mother of Jesus Christ, in order to redeem sinners. And I get that. But Tupac's version is just a little more hardcore, though, if you know what I mean. But can you imagine? Can you imagine? What about your kids? Are you covering their eyes? Are you taking the pamphlet away? What do you do? But that is a great story. Well, somebody just tweeted. Who was it? Let me back up here. I think it was Mark saying that I always get flat earther quotes wrong or facts. No, I don't. I never have, never will. You can't mess that stuff up. Come on. And so with that, I'm going to give you this. A little over 49 days. That's all it took for Frenchman Thomas Coville to sail around the world alone. And he set a new world record. Coville sailed into the Brittany port of Brest on Monday on his Sadibo trimaran. He rejoined his family, weeping with joy, thanked his support crews, and showered the seas with champagne. His round-the-world journey started from an island in the English Channel, took 49 days, 3 hours, 7 minutes, and 38 seconds. It was Coville's third attempt to beat the previous record of 57 days held by Frenchman Francois Joyon since 2008. Yes, a new around-the-world record. And as far as I know, it doesn't say around the flat world. Yeah. Oh, man. All right. I said I'd take some calls. I'll take one. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hi, Jimmy. It's Fran.
Hi, Fran. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, well, I don't do Christmas.
Well, Happy New Year.
Yeah. Well, I do the day after Christmas.
Okay, fair enough.
That's when I celebrate and go, hey, all that crap is over with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all done.
Yeah.
And I relax and have a few and just say, happy day after.
Right. Which I almost said something like that today. It was kind of funny, but I like hanging out with the family and I like what, Christmas is all about and what it represents.
What?
But it was kind of funny. I almost said something just like that today. Okay, now that is behind us. But, I enjoy the holiday.
Yeah. No, I get you. But, I have no family close to me, and I just sat here and watched crazy movies on TV, and I was very happy.
There you go.
So, without the tree, without all the presents, without the lights and everything, it was all good. I had a great day.
Oh, Fran, thank you so much.
I got to watch it all on Facebook.
I know, right? Right? Well,
yeah.
At least all the fake news has gone from Facebook, and we can get back to cat videos, so there you go.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much,
Anyway,
Fran.
I just wanted to call and say happy day after.
Thank you, and happy day after to you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
I'll talk to you,
Good
Fran.
night.
Good night. Fran. Had to get that in, right? Okay, here's a Merry Christmas story for you. Explosive experts on Sunday defused a large World War II aerial bomb in the southern German city of Augsburg, clearing the way for thousands of evacuated residents to return to their Christmas celebrations at home. Now, listen to this. City police tweeted that they had good news of Christmas. Just before 7 p.m. local time yesterday, they had to clear it out. I'm talking about 54,000 residents, 32,000 households in the historic Central District were forced to leave by 10 a.m. Christmas morning so they could go in and deal with this bomb. They had to clean 7 decades of muck off of it so they could find and disable its 3 detonators. Now, check this. The munition's large size, 1.8 tons. Yeah. Suggested that it was one of those blockbuster bombs that the British forces used to drop in the aim at blowing up buildings apart so they could get the incendiary bombs in there so buildings could burn more easily. I'm not making this up. And it 1.8 tons. And that made it a Merry Christmas for everybody. All right. A fake news story led to threats of nuclear war between Pakistan and Israel on Christmas Eve. In an article published by AWD News, one of those fake news sites, on Tuesday, December 20th, former Israeli Defense Minister Moshe Yaalon was quoted as threatening to destroy Pakistan if it sent troops into Syria. And here's the quote, "We will destroy them with a nuclear attack." The article quoted Yaalon as saying there is no evidence that Yaalon ever said those words. Then, Pakistan Defense Minister responded to the fake news article on his official Twitter as if it were real. He warned Israel that it was not the only nuclear power. And I'm quoting here. This is the tweet. Israel threatens nuclear retaliation, presuming Pakistan's role in Syria against Daesh. Israel forgets that Pakistan is a nuclear state also. That was on December 23rd. Less than a day later, the Israeli Ministry of Defense responded on Twitter, notifying Asif the Yaalon statement quoted in AWD News was completely false. He went on to say the statement attributed to the former defense minister Yaalon regarding Pakistan was never said. Crazy. And that's what fake news can lead to. This is Fade to Black. I want to thank Damon T. Barry. All of Damon's websites, links, everything you need for Damon is over at jimmychurchradio.com. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Shows produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar, Fady Bidell. Webmaster is Drew, the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. Thank you, Damon T. Barry. The best. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2016 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. Tomorrow night, Jason Quit, right here on Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Until tomorrow night, everybody be safe. Go Beckley Teppy.